During the early gold rush period, Chinese arrivals consisted of predominantly male miners. Not many Chinese women were in Australia at the time. As a result, it was tough for Chinese men to find Chinese wives. Some of these men married indigenous or Irish women, and others resorted to arranged marriages with Chinese women from overseas. Mary Tong Way was one such bride. Dressed in Western attire, she traveled on a passenger ship all the way from Hong Kong to Australia in 1893 to marry a man she'd never met. Yes, it was terrifying. Upon arrival, Mary became one of the few Chinese women living in Ballarat. The arrival caused quite a stir in the local community as it was so rare to see Chinese women in Ballarat at the time.
So the Sovereign Hill Museums Association does have this special portrait of Mary Tong Way. It is not an original, it is a copy that has been kindly donated to us by family members of Mary Tong Way. Through this portrait, we're able to share the story of Mary Tong Way and her family, but also tell the story of the contributions of the Chinese community in Ballarat from the late 19th century through to today.
What was life like for her back in that time in Ballarat?
So Mary migrated out to Ballarat in the early 1890s as part of an arranged marriage with Reverend John Tong Way, who was a local Presbyterian missionary. John and Mary went on to have somewhere between 11 and 13 children. 3 to 4 of those children survived into adulthood.
Yeah, life was hard for the Chinese community back in that time when White Australia policy was imposed.
Absolutely. So Mary would have seen that played out.
And was Mary an active member in the community?
She absolutely was, and we have a really special item in our collection, like this very special certificate that was awarded to Mary Tong Way in 1901. She submitted her needlework as part of the Australian Industrial Exhibition. These exhibitions took place around Australia in different cities and regional towns, and it was all about celebrating Australian industry, workmanship and craftsmanship. And this is where Mary Tong Way represented, her family represented Ballarat. So through that, we see that she was quite a creative person and that she was involved in the Ballarat community.
Unlike the arranged marriage of Mary, Eunice Leong's love story was on her own terms. As she turned 100, Eunice celebrated her platinum wedding anniversary with her husband, Maurice Leong.
这些都是 Eunice 当年结婚的时候用到的配饰吗？看着好像很西式哎。
对，这些配饰确实在西方的婚礼里面会比较常见。它的中文名字呢就叫马蹄铁，英文名字就叫 horseshoes。用这个的意思就是说，希望新娘子可以有好的运气，然后以后也有美好的生活。
This grand wedding ceremony took place in 1950 at Melbourne CBD's Wesley Church. It was a typical Western wedding with more than 100 guests turning up in suit and tie. During the Second World War, the couple was separated. Eunice worked in Darwin as one of the 15 Chinese-Australian female soldiers from Victoria, while Maurice worked at the front line in Hong Kong in the anti-Japanese war. It wasn't until the end of the war that the two reunited and finally started their married life. Anthony, can you please tell us, how did your parents meet each other at the beginning?
Well, it's a long story, but I suppose it's because of the war and that both families, the Chins and the Leongs, knew each other. And so, therefore, all of the children knew each other as well. There was a shared interest in China and what was going on in China against the Japanese in the Second Sino-Japanese War, and because they had things in common that they worked towards.
It's not uncommon for couples to meet each other in the past through arranged marriage, but their story is not like that, right?
Not at all. The fact is that the war intervened, and as such, virtually all of the customs were thrown out the window because there was no time for anything like that. Basically, they had a country to save, and therefore, as the diaspora, they banded together to do just that.
What's their secret to a long-lasting, happy marriage?
I think complementing each other in terms of skills, being interested and alive to the world around them and wanting to make a difference, wanting to make the world a better place. And that's the way that they have been for the past 70 odd years.